weekend, Hillary Clinton went Ronald Reagan one better. It's not just morning in America anymore. It's 3 o'clock in the morning in America forever. In our fourth story tonight, 3 months after telling Iowa Democrats she should go after Republicans, not Democrats, Hillary Clinton unleashed her own version of the Daisy ad on Barack Obama in Texas Friday. Her message, only she can be trusted with the nation's safety.
It's 3 a.m. and your children are safe and asleep. But there's a phone in the White House and it's ringing. Something's happening in the world. Your vote will decide who answers that call. Whether it's someone who already knows the world's leaders, knows the military, someone tested and ready to lead in a dangerous world.
Somebody answer the damn phone. And no, that's not a robocaller from the McCain campaign on the other end of the line. Senator Obama's response came within hours.
It's 3 a.m. and your children are safe and asleep. But there's a phone ringing in the White House. Something's happening in the world. When that call gets answered, shouldn't the president be the one, the only one, who had judgment and courage to oppose the Iraq war from the start? Who understood the real threat to America was al-Qaeda in Afghanistan, not Iraq?
Obama's ad also mentions his leadership on so-called loose nukes in the former Soviet Union, but on the same day the dueling ads debuted, 3 of Clinton's advisors seemed to help Obama's cause during a conference call with the media. When someone had the temerity to ask about her foreign policy experience, and for 5 seconds, none of her advisors had anything to say.
Hey, it's John Nickerson from Slate. What foreign policy moment would you point us to in Hillary's career where she's been tested by crisis?
Well, I think that, as she says, she has been tested, throughout her life in so many matters.
Her advisors did not name one foreign policy crisis. And as the New York Times reported last year, as First Lady, Senator Clinton had no security clearance, no access to National Security Council meetings or the president's daily intelligence briefing, little involvement in 90s crises such as Somalia, Haiti, Rwanda, the U.S. embassy bombings, or the U.S. bombing of Afghanistan and Sudan. But the substance of her ad has drawn less attention than its tone, specifically its echo of Republican Party tactics, specifically denounced and deconstructed during the 2004 presidential campaign by a former president of note.
Now, one of Clinton's laws of politics is this. If one candidate's trying to scare you and the other one's trying to get you to think, if one candidate's appealing to your fears and the other one's appealing to your hopes, you better vote for the person who wants you to think and hope. That's the bet.
And here with me now, MSNBC political analyst Rachel Maddow, host, of course, of her own program each night on Air America Radio. Rachel, good evening.
Hi, Keith.
Mark Penn said her internal polling shows that the Scary Morning in America ad is swaying millions of voters. Is that plausible? Should it be swaying people? And by the way, which way is it swaying them?
Right. Well, what we know about what fear does in campaign tactics generally and in campaign ads specifically is that it does sway voters. Mm-hmm. It does drive voters toward Republicans. Intellectually, we don't want, we want voters to respond to fear-mongering like this by rejecting it, by resenting it, by holding the candidate accountable for doing this. Same way that intellectually we know that Republicans running right now on national security and military affairs is like the Keystone Cops running on a tough-on-crime platform. Intellectually, it's ridiculous, but all of that intellectual work doesn't undo the voters' instinct that we've learned and that we've lived by for so long, which is that when voters are scared, they tend to be nudged toward Republicans.
So she might, with that ad, might as well be running against Max Cleland as against maybe
yes,
John McCain.
That's right.
But the foreign policy and crisis management that is implied by having the cojones to run an ad like that comes from what? I mean, they couldn't answer that on the call. Does she really want to emphasize foreign policy in any substantive way? When she voted for Iraq and he opposed it, she mocked him for talking about these air raids in Pakistan against, theoretical air raids in Pakistan against al-Qaeda targets. And 2 weeks ago, the CIA ran an air raid in Pakistan against an al-Qaeda tactic. He would seem to be actually ahead of her on this topic. Does that at all come up when that ad runs, or is it way too non-visceral?
Well, I think it helps all the candidates to be really non-specific about what experience means when you're talking about security and foreign affairs. I mean, if you think about it, is it relevant, salient experience in security and foreign affairs to be on an appropriate congressional committee? Is it relevant and salient experience to have been in the White House when other people were making decisions on those subjects and you happened to physically be there? Is it relevant and salient experience to have been a prisoner in wartime? Do any of those things really count as the type of experience that would make you a better leader on security and military affairs and foreign affairs in the future? I think all of the candidates right now, it serves them all to just kind of have a vague, nebulous resume pointer in that place and to not have us get too specific. I mean, if Democrats were voting on the kinds of experience that these candidates are bragging on right now, we'd be electing people like Chris Dodd and Wesley Clark. And maybe the Republicans would be, I don't know, electing Barbara Bush Sr. or something. Voters don't tend to care, and I think that's why it's become a real nebulous point for these guys.
Let me throw something out at you that I just saw on the net that is apparently a couple of days old from Fort Worth, Texas. This is off a CBS News blog from a campaign, one of the 8 million campaign stops. This is Senator Clinton saying, and let me read it, I've got to read it off the computer. I think you'll be able to imagine many things Senator McCain will be able to say, she said, talking about a campaign against him. He's never been the president, but he will put forth his lifetime of experience. I will put forth my lifetime of experience. Senator Obama will put forth a speech he made in 2002. Is it unfair to say that she just ranked Obama third on this topic behind the Republican that she and the Democrats are supposed to be blood oath sworn to defeat?
That's what you say when you want to be John McCain's vice presidential choice. That's not what you say when you're trying to become the Democratic nominee for president.
Unbelievable. Rachel Maddow of Air America and MSNBC. I guess we'll talk tomorrow night.
Yes.
All right, great. Thanks.